to the theTokyoBill Weekly Update, an end-of-week news brief on events in and around Japan. Today is June 15th, 2024. The Japanese Coast Guard is planning to construct its largest patrol vessel, which will enhance its operational capabilities. The proposed vessel will be equipped with high-speed rubber boats and helicopters, serving multiple roles including commanding other patrol ships, providing disaster relief and evacuation operations, and supporting operations around the contested Senkaku Islands. The Coast Guard has allocated funds for a private firm to study the vessel's structure, with plans for a detailed blueprint and construction scheduled for fiscal 2025. The vessel is seen as a critical enhancement of Japan's maritime capabilities, particularly to counter Chinese vessels in Japanese territorial waters. According to a recent survey by Japanese watchmaking giant Citizen Watch, the proportion of Japanese working adults who sleep 5 hours or less a day has decreased to under 12%, down from 23% in 1999. The survey, conducted on 400 working people aged in their 20s to 50s, found that 36% reported sleeping 6 hours, while 52% reported sleeping 7 hours or more. The Japanese Health Ministry recommends at least 6 hours of sleep for adults, and the reduction in sleep deprivation is attributed to shorter working hours and more flexible work styles. A 24-year-old Japanese man, Hirotsugu Kimura, completed a solo round-the-world yacht voyage, breaking the record for the youngest Japanese to achieve this feat. Kimura, a former Maritime Self-Defense Force member, completed the voyage without any port calls or taking on supplies after 231 days. This was his second attempt, with the first one in 2022 being unsuccessful due to mechanical failure. His achievement was praised by marine adventurer Kojiro Shiraishi, who set the previous record 30 years ago. Kimura expressed his intention to support any others taking on similar challenges in the future. Today's last story. Convenience store chain Lawson has announced a change in its uniform policy, specifically regarding employee name tags. To create a more secure working environment for store staff, Lawson will now allow employees to choose to wear name tags with Latin alphabet letters, such as their initials or an abbreviation of their name, instead of their family name in Japanese text. This decision aims to protect workers' privacy and shield them from potential verbal abuse, following incidents of malicious customer complaints. Lawson's revised name tag policy follows a similar decision made by fellow convenience store chain Family Mart. Officials from Japan and the United States recently held their first working-level meeting to discuss having U.S. military vessels repaired in Japan, following an agreement made at a summit in April. The aim is for Japanese companies to conduct extensive repairs on U.S. Navy warships. Japan believes that conducting maintenance on U.S. Navy vessels at Japanese shipyards will strengthen the Japan-U.S. alliance's deterrence capabilities. The U.S. ambassador praised Japan's production capabilities and emphasized the importance of ship repairs for deterrence in both peace and emergency situations. Streptococcal toxic shock syndrome is spreading rapidly in Japan, with cases exceeding last year's record. The disease, caused by the Streptococcus pyogenes bacterium, can lead to limb necrosis and organ failure. The number of cases has already surpassed last year's highest annual count since mandatory reporting began in 1999. Tokyo has reported the highest number of cases, with even more virulent strains emerging in the Kanto region. Foot wounds are especially vulnerable to the infection, and small injuries can serve as entry points for the bacterium. Prompt medical attention is crucial, as the disease can progress rapidly, especially in the elderly. Airlines in Japan are facing a shortage of jet fuel. leading to difficulties in meeting the increased demand during a booming tourist season. ENEOS Holdings, Japan's top petroleum refiner, is working with the government to address the issue. Foreign airlines have scrapped plans to expand flights to Japan due to uncertainty about fuel supply. Workforce shortages and logistics bottlenecks have also contributed to the problem. Analysts predict a significant rise in jet fuel demand in 2024 compared to last year. A shortage of airport workers is further complicated the situation, making it challenging to accommodate new international routes or additional flights. Continuing travel-related news, Mount Fuji attracts climbers from all over the world, but the increase in visitors has led to chaos on the trails. Shizuoka Prefecture is implementing a pre-registration system for the 2024 climbing season to prevent reckless climbs and to ease congestion. Climbers must register in advance and watch a video on the climbing rules. Unregistered climbers will be prompted to register at trailheads or parking lots. Yamanashi Prefecture has capped daily climbers at 4,000 and introduced a passage fee to control crowds on the Yoshida Trail. The Fuji Dream Bridge, a popular viewing spot, has also faced issues with rowdy tourists, leading to the installation of metal scaffolding and warning signs. Additional measures, including a metal mesh fence, are being put in place to manage the influx of visitors. The Japan Business Federation, also known as Keidanren, has pushed for a selective dual surname system for married couples in order to provide more flexibility and options in life and career choices. The proposal aims to allow individuals to maintain their own family name upon marriage. A survey conducted by Keidanren revealed that 88% of female executives from member companies experienced disadvantages or inconveniences due to the use of their maiden names, such as issues with contracts or problems at airports and hotels abroad. The Justice Ministry Council had previously recommended a revision to the Civil Code to introduce a dual surname system back in 1996. Keidanren supports this recommendation and calls for further discussions and a speedy resolution to the issue. In gaming news, the map area of Assassin's Creed Shadows Japan is roughly similar in size to Egypt in Origins, according to Ubisoft Quebec's Associate Game Director Simon Lemay-Comtois. The game's Japanese setting is said to be smaller than Valhalla in terms of territory, with a focus on the valleys of Japan where most of the interesting content is located. The map is described as mountainous, with small mountains and valleys featuring cool temples and castles. The story of Assassin's Creed Shadows takes place in 16th century Japan, focusing on central Japan and key historical locations such as Kyoto and Osaka. The size of the map is dictated by the scope of the story Ubisoft wants to cover, making sure it feels like a credible adventure as players move between key locations. Moving on to Olympics news. In a men's soccer preliminary match, Japan defeated the United States 2-0 with goals from Shota Fujio and Mao Hosoya. Despite the loss of midfielder Rihito Yamamoto stretchered off due to an injury, U.S. coach Marko Mitrovic expressed disappointment in their team's performance, but believes they are capable of better. The first goal came from a penalty kick awarded to Japan after a handball by Brian Reynolds, while the second goal was scored by Hosoya off a deflection. Undisputed super bantamweight boxing champion Naoya Inoue expressed his desire to fight in the United States again, following his win of the Fighter of the Year award. The 31-year-old, known as Monster, wants to capitalize on his increased recognition and has mentioned potentially staying in his weight division for several more matches. Inoue last fought in the United States in 2021, defeating Michael Dasmariñas. He has dominated opponents since moving up to super bantamweight, including victories against fighters from the United States, the Philippines, and Mexico. In beer news, beer and quasi-beer sales in Japan increased by 1% in volume during the month of May, compared to the previous year. marking the second consecutive month of growth according to data from 4 major brewers. Sales to restaurants and bars saw a 2% increase, supported by good weather during the Golden Week holidays in early May. Beer sales went up by 12%, while Happoshu quasi-beer saw a 6% increase. However, third segment beer sales increased by 18%. Kirin Brewery Company reported a 2% rise in sales with their new beer brand Harikaze performing well. Sapporo Breweries also saw a 5% increase in sales, attributed to the positive brand image of their black label beer. A study from Nagoya University in Japan discovered that a novel superlattice structure can be created by a simple thermal reaction between gallium nitride and metallic magnesium. This is the first time researchers have observed two-dimensional metal layers being inserted into a bulk semiconductor. The findings, published in Nature, offer new insights into semiconductor doping and strain engineering. Gallium nitride is a key semiconductor with applications in LEDs, laser diodes, and power electronics. Researchers found that by annealing magnesium thin films on gallium nitride wafers, a superlattice structure with alternating gallium nitride and magnesium layers can be spontaneously formed, leading to enhanced electrical conductivity. The Japanese defense industry is struggling with challenges such as an aging workforce, a shrinking industrial base, and an ailing supply chain system. Japan has introduced legislation to support arms manufacturers and their supply chain, providing funding for cybersecurity and manufacturing improvements. Despite efforts to attract second and third-tier suppliers back into the defense sector and incorporate new technologies, the industry is still facing difficulties. The government is trying to address labor shortages and concerns from business owners about alienating customers who oppose increased defense spending. Without significant reforms and investments, the long-term sustainability of the Japanese defense industry is in question. The Japanese government is considering expanding the requirement for companies to release gender wage gap data in an effort to address the pay disparity between men and women. Currently, companies with more than 100 employees would be expected to release such data, compared to the previous requirement for companies with over 300 employees. The government aims to submit a bill to introduce this requirement to the Diet in 2025. The wage gap in Japan is at 21.3%, higher than other countries like the United States, France, and Italy. The government also aims to increase the percentage of female board members in companies listed on the Tokyo Exchange. Japan's parliament passed a law aimed at promoting competition in smartphone app stores by preventing tech giants Apple and Google from restricting third-party companies. The law prohibits Apple and Google from blocking apps that compete with their own, as well as giving priority to their own services in search results. Violations of the law will result in significant fines, with penalties increasing if anti-competitive practices continue. The legislation is set to take effect by the end of 2025 and follows similar regulations introduced by the European Union. The Fair Trade Commission will monitor the tech giants to ensure compliance with the new rules. For burger lovers, popular American burger chain In-N-Out Burger is holding a one-day pop-up in Tokyo this weekend, where they will offer a limited menu including their classic Double Burger, Protein Style Burger, and the famous off-menu Animal Style Burger. The event will take place on Saturday, June 15th on Tennozu Isle at waterside restaurant Ride Tennozu. In-N-Out is known for hosting elusive pop-ups in Tokyo, and this weekend's event was announced through a sponsored social media post on In-N-Out's Facebook page. The pop-up will run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., but no other details have yet been provided. Ukraine and Japan signed a 10-year security agreement during the G7 summit, with Japan pledging $4.5 billion in support by 2024. This marks Ukraine's 16th similar agreement since the Russian invasion. The deal includes security and defense assistance, humanitarian aid, and financial cooperation. President Zelensky expressed gratitude for Japan's solidarity and commitment to upholding international law. A similar agreement with the United States is anticipated to be signed at the summit in Italy. A group of 5 women in Japan is suing the government in Tokyo to challenge laws requiring spousal consent for voluntary sterilization. They argue for the right to make decisions about their own bodies, including preventing pregnancy through sterilization. Led by lawyer Michiko Kameishi, they claim these restrictions violate individual autonomy. The laws originate from the 1940s National Eugenics Law and are now part of the Maternal Health Act, creating barriers for women who don't want children or more children. The lawsuit addresses broader issues in Japan, like declining population and blaming women for low birth rates. Despite challenges, the women are hopeful for change in the fight for gender equality and reproductive autonomy. Set to open in 2026, Soho House Tokyo will be located in the Aoyama neighborhood of Tokyo. This will be the 4th private members club Soho House in Asia, following Mumbai, Hong Kong, and Bangkok. The club will feature minimalist Japanese design with 4 floors, a rooftop pool, 42 bedrooms, and event spaces. Soho House Tokyo will also be part of the Cities Without Houses membership program, allowing members to visit Soho House locations worldwide and attend special events. The membership fee for Cities Without Houses is $3,700 per year, with a reduced fee for those under 27 years of age. Applications for membership in Cities Without Houses Tokyo are currently open. Japan is increasing its seafood exports to Southeast Asia and the United States as China continues to ban imports of Japanese fisheries products. The country aims to double its scallops exports to Thailand in 2024 and has seen increases in exports to Vietnam, Thailand, and the United States. In response to China's isolation tactics, Japan is maintaining transparency on the issue of treated water from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. Experts recommend ongoing communication with China and the dissemination of scientifically backed information to address concerns and maintain trust in Japanese seafood products. Japanese rock pop and Mrs. Green Apple faced backlash after accusations of racism and ignorance for their music video for the song Columbus. The video depicted band members dressed as historical figures, including Christopher Columbus, interacting with human/ape-like characters. Critics claimed the portrayal of Columbus and the ape-like men was inaccurate and borderline racist, with some suggested it played into colonialist and racist stereotypes. The band issued an apology, explaining that the video was supposed to be a fun portrayal of historical figures. Mrs. Green Apple, a popular J-pop group, has expressed interest in expanding their music overseas. This has been the Tokyo Bill. I've been, and remain, Tokyo Bill. Thank you for listening, and take care.